Breathing in, I come back to the island within myself. There are beautiful trees within the island. There are blue skies and water, there are birds, sunshine and fresh air. Breathing out, I feel safe. I enjoy going back to my island. Breathing in, I go back to the island within myself. There are beautiful trees within the island. There are blue skies and water, there are birds, sunshine and fresh air. Breathing out, I feel safe. I enjoy going back to my island. Honey, it get better. Get better. It get better. Now is better. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, I'd hammer all day. I'd hammer out a warning. I'd hammer out a danger. I'd hammer out a love for all my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Here is the pure land is here. I smile in mindfulness and dwell in the present moment. The Buddha is seen in an autumn leaf. The Dharma is a floating cloud. The Sangha body is everywhere. My true home is right here. Breathing in, flowers are blooming. Breathing out, I am aware that bamboo is swaying. My mind is at peace. Home is right here. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. And I'm not in a hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Somewhere to go, something to do, but I'm not in a hurry. Here is the pure land is here. I smile in mindfulness and dwell in the present moment. Yes, Dharma and Jesus are a very good pair. And apparently, drinking and Zen and it being in a hot tub are also a good pair. They say that Maizumi Roshi, he died in a hot tub while he was drunk. Maizumi Roshi is the founder of the White Plum Asanga, which is like one of the foremost schools of Zen in America, Soto Zen in America. I was watching some video. It's like like a live stream. It's a guy who's live streaming. And there's this interaction. He's like names himself a pastor, And there was this interaction with him and, seemingly some waitress, where the waitress brought him like a little cup of water. And then he said, "What's that? That's a little cup of water for a child. I'm an adult. I want a big glass." So she walks away, and then he says, "Oh, delete that last 30 seconds." And the guy on the camera says, "Oh, we're live streaming. We can't delete it." And then the guy says, "And that's the problem with the world, when people cause you to sin, because that lady made me angry." And the whole interaction, the whole thing is like totally fake, totally disingenuous, totally lacking in any depth or meaning or value or authenticity and all. And people can't see that. They have no idea that that's fake or lacking in meaning or authenticity. And it just brings up this question mark to me about, everybody's talking about AI. How AI, we're not going to be able to determine what's real because of AI. But the reality is, the way that our modern culture is, we're not able to determine what's meaningful or valuable, or what's real, or what's authentic, or what comes from a deep place or a meaningful place. We don't know. Now, why is that? Who knows? Maybe many answers to that question. Basically zero, almost zero capacity to determine what's real. And the question of what actually is real, that's a good question. But just in terms of, like if you're being advertised to, or you're being presented something that's totally phony, totally fake, and being able to see that intuitively, our capacity to do that is like, boop, it's very, very low. There's something inhuman about it, and it's also connected to like people watching these live streams. Not everybody, but some people, where you're willing to sit here and watch it, but you're not willing to actually have a conversation with the person that you're looking at and listening to live. That's weird. There's something weird about that, right? It's like you're watching a movie, and then you realize that the movie is like happening live and happening right now. And the person in the movie is talking to you, and that doesn't have any meaning to you. And you just disassociate. It's very strange. We're not done looking at properties. We still have some more properties lined up that we're going to be looking at. And, it's an exploratory mission. It's not like we're walking around with a big bag of money. But the last one that we saw, that we live streamed, was a good looking property, and we're also considering to make our own place. So you can get a very good plot of land for about $1 billion, less than $1 billion, and then you can build something for $1 billion or $2 billion or whatever. So, a lot of considerations. Most of the feedback that I get here is negative. So that, that informs my work. A lot of negative feedback from uninformed people. So how I deal with that is that I detach from that. I ignore that. It's not about trying to put on a performance or trying to be like a meditation character or a crazy character. Just me being one with myself at this moment and sharing that is valuable. Me sharing mindfulness and detachment is valuable. Me sharing the practice of awareness is valuable to me. You know, like earlier when we were at the coffee shop and I read that sutra, I really enjoyed that. And I likely would not have read that sutra at that time if not for, sharing it, live streaming it. So there's a real value in using our lives, using our time, using our energy for others, to kind of open up this space of invitation and welcoming. Now, the way of the world is dark. You don't have money. You're not going to find a lovely homeless shelter to take you in and work with you and support you. This wonderful, kind, compassionate people hanging around to grab your arm. It's a harsh world. And then there's some concerns or there's some questions about my degree of skill. But that's contextual. So the degree of skill of a baker, when you're trying to hire a barista, that baker might be very skilled, but we're not looking for a baker, we're a barista. So you have to look at what you're looking for, what you're searching for. Don't ask me what you're searching for, or don't put onto me what you're searching for, because, this is my live stream. This is where I live. This is where I am. And you're coming to watch me and listen to me. So that's okay if you want to do that. But don't make it my problem that you're coming to my body and mind and listening to me. If you don't like it, move on. Shintoism is not another form of Buddhism, but it is syncretic with Buddhism in Japan. So there's a lot of connections. Usually Buddhism, when it enters a society, it finds a way to syncretize with the religion that's already there. So in China, Buddhism and Taoism. In Tibet, Buddhism and the Bon tradition. In Japan, Buddhism and Shintoism. It's something like that, I don't want to get my new chain wet, because that's a good one. Oh. No, it's not fake. It's real. Look, this is not AI. And you can see it has weight. It's not, you can hear it even. It has weight. You can hear that. It's a real chain. It's certainly realer than your thought about if it's real or fake. Yeah, giving body and mind. Well, stop thinking. And develop that relationship with the absence of thoughts. It's just not stimulating, and there's this compulsion. It's almost like a virus of habit, of thoughts and things and stimulation. So you have to kind of look at that. Look at the mind that's not thinking. Whose mind is that? Whose mind is experiencing this right now? Who is seeing this? Who is that? Who is hearing this? Who is that? Who is feeling whatever you happen to be feeling right now? Who is that? You don't have to explain it. You don't have to explain anything. All right, here we go. We're going to go under, everybody. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? You know, sometimes we don't listen to something not because we can't understand it, but it's just because it doesn't align with what our ego is compulsively trying to do. And so that relationship with the absence of thoughts, it's very, very important to attain discernment or accuracy that's not based on our biases or the compulsion of the ego's thoughts. As the great master Yonghua said, if you can't stop thoughts, then they aren't your thoughts. You know, you are a slave or imprisoned by the sentence of sentences. So this kind of mind-to-mind direct awareness, it takes away all that ego stuff. The anger, the greed, the shallow, superficial, fake judgment, the pretending. You know, we make someone else into a caricature and we make ourselves into a caricature. You know, and then we kind of find this way to make our ego keep validating itself. But we don't have any access to direct perception, you know, having a wide view, having an honest view, having an authentic view. And of course, the right view in terms of the Dharma is no view. You know, and the context here, this is a Dharmic context. This is a Buddhist context. Because, you know, honey, what are you doing over there? Honey, you sleeping? Here, look, honey's sleeping over there. If you rely on thoughts, you lose access to freedom. You lose access to thoughtless reality. And you notice, right? Look at your own mind. Notice how your mind is just compulsively thinking. You can't stop. You can't stop telling stories. You can't stop patting yourself on the back. You can't stop making judgments. You can't stop the sentences going on in your head. You're pretending. But you're not choosing to pretend. You are pretending under the impressions or the oppression of the sentences and the impressions of the sentences that are going on verbally in the mind. You can't see anything as it is when you are locked into this prison of thoughts. You know, when we're so attached to thoughts, it makes us very unreasonable. There's a Zen Buddhist teaching that says producing thoughts is confusion. Think about that. Think about the Buddhist teaching that producing thoughts is confusion. Think about that. You know? And now we're on a crusade against Buddhism or what have you, but that's not really what it's about. There's different philosophies, different perspectives, different ways to view the same thing. And as we know from modern science, how you view something actually affects that thing. As far as we know, as far as we can understand. Yeah, can't stop, but you can ignore. It's nicer. So you can ignore the constant thoughts in your mind. You can ignore the sentences, the thoughts, the stories about what's being directly experienced. You don't have to be a slave to your thoughts. You don't have to be a slave to your ego. Then we say, but my ego is of the utmost importance. In most situations, it's not. I mean, even at a McDonald's, your ego is not of the utmost importance. You go to someone else's home, your ego is not of the utmost importance. You go to your job, your ego is not of the utmost importance. But here on our smartphones, maybe we feel like this is the place where our ego is of the most importance. And my teaching here is to practice letting that go. Allowing those thoughts to go by without identifying with them. And if you like to be here, you're welcome to be here. But if you don't want to be here, you're welcome to leave. Right? But any sense of ownership of this space or ownership of this identity, ownership of this body, ownership of this mind is exactly what these teachings are, kind of attempting to alleviate the self from. This sense of ownership, this sense of mine, right? These are my thoughts. These are my views. This is my understanding. And that mine or that that possessionness is the root of our suffering. This is my body. This is my mind. Well, it's a body, it's a mind, but who is it that possesses this mind? Who is it that possesses this body? And then we look at the coarsest examples of that in the mundane world being practiced. So that's slavery. That's torturing and raping black women. That's killing black children. That's lynching black men and cutting off their testicles because that's mine, because I own that. And anything that stands in the face of my ownership of that needs to be punished, needs to be controlled. We get a lot of people in here that, whether they know it or not, they're kind of role-playing as a 18th century, slave manager with all these different personas and identities that they've created in their mind in reference to me that are slaves to their ego. I don't know, I wouldn't recommend that. And then, you improve or you're successful and they said, I always knew you could do it. I'm so proud of you. It's like a guy that was attempting to rape your daughter, and then is coming along and saying, I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so happy that you changed your ways. It's disgusting. It's vile, So, but this is the trap of the ego. The ego always goes on and on and on and on. It never stops. There's always another thought. There's always another sentence. There's always another idea. There's always another story. When we can not identify with thoughts and also perceive the absence of thoughts, well, this is a little bit more concrete somehow. This doesn't have anything to do with your thoughts. It's like saying water is thought-based. That doesn't make any sense. That water is based in thoughts. Thoughts are allowed to happen. Your thoughts are allowed to happen because you're sufficiently hydrated. Period. Otherwise, you wouldn't be thinking, you'd be dying or you'd be dead. But this is kind of the trap of the ego and the paradigm of the ego, that somehow we make up a story that says thoughts created water, rather than thoughts are a side effect of water. And so what are the implications of that for thoughts and the importance that we give to thoughts, right? The importance that we give to these certain words and phrases, these certain value judgments, perspectives, and views, when without water, none of those thoughts could exist. So this is codependent origination or dependent origination. very deep Buddhist philosophical concept that helps us alleviate our experiencing, sometimes called our true self or our true mind, from the constant damnation, the constant trap, the constant imprisonment of compulsive thinking. And I hope it brings benefit to people. I certainly could use a little bit more encouragement, but I'll keep going regardless. That encouragement, it really, when it comes from a place of practice, when it comes from a place of really listening, which requires self-sacrifice, which requires putting down our ego, that helps a lot, Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. I'm very aware and I'm very present with the chat. I'm very present with this moment. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, and I don't need to hurry. Giving advice to a projection in your mind is probably not going to be particularly accurate unless you've had at least a couple 100 hours of meditation. The accuracy of our capacity to understand other people's minds and other people's mental situation directly correlates to our own capacity to understand our own mind and our own mental situation. And so if you haven't spent any time looking at and investigating your own mind, there's no real reason why your capacity to determine the mental quality of someone else would be accurate. Just keep that in mind. We're always looking for some excuse to give advice because it helps us feel superior. It's like talking about how you're very skillful at analyzing gemstones when you have very little experience analyzing gemstones. Right? So we all have a mind, but how much have you examined your own mind? Because you examining someone else's mind is just examining a projection in your own mind of someone else's mind. And that's very likely to be very inaccurate. It's not a competition, it's just information. It's just like building shouldn't be a competition. Building should be collaborative, it should be cooperative. Everybody needs these resources. And so why are we so focused on ownership, personal ownership? Why don't we focus more on collective responsibility? That's what China teaches people. And so China is much more successful than the US currently in terms of their cities and their technology to manufacture. But they're also committing the Tibetan genocide. So that's not a good thing. I'm not trying to pretend to be smart. I'm trying to share from my heart value to people whose, ears are open enough to hear it. Oh my God. I was spitting in the tub and now I'm peeing in the tub. Literally, pee is coming out of my urethra. And finished. It's sterile. You know what I mean? It's sterile. Oh, I read the chat all the time, Igloo. I read the chat all the time. But this isn't some kind of little show, right? I'm here to teach. I'm here to share. I'm here to create a space for people to practice mindfulness and detachment. It's amazing where you have all these people that are sitting there listening, and for whatever reason, they're willing to do that. And they have no idea what mindfulness and detachment is, but it just doesn't matter because they need to go back to their ego. Well, if you need to go back to your ego, then what are you doing sitting here listening and watching me? And now we get to hear their diatribe about how I'm such a fool and I'm so blessed to be speaking to them and so blessed to have them watching me. It just never ends with these people. What is mindfulness and detachment? What is mindfulness and detachment? What does that mean? 9 to 5 is a prison when you're working for money. If you're working for merit, if you're working to benefit others, then 9 to 5 is like a gift from heaven. We want to tear other people down. I can't fully relate to it because I don't spend time watching people live stream. Right? So the people here, at least quite a few of them, are in a very different situation than I am. Because I don't find value in just like watching people live stream and talk. Like if I thought that there was somebody that had no idea what they were talking about and was like a total loon and was like grifting for money, I would never spend time watching that person on live stream. I would never spend time doing that. So some people here are in a different mental position than me because my time is more valuable than that. If I think that somebody has nothing to offer, is a total loon, total negative person, total egomaniac, the last thing that I would ever do is spend time watching them live stream in a bathtub. So, we're different people. Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody has different qualities, you know what I mean? And I'm not fully able to relate to people in that kind of situation, But I guess I get it, but my time is more valuable than that. I'd rather watch, like Lego technology videos. Well, I messed up my whole spiel, huh? I do like the idea of liveness, right? But I feel at this point, for most people that are watching like YouTube lives in general, they're not connecting much with like the liveness aspect of what they're watching. Like I invite people here to participate. I invite people here to call in. It's like you're sitting there watching and listening to somebody but you don't want to talk to them. You don't want to experience like an interaction in that way. And sometimes we've had people call in, big, bad, smart, ego kings. And it's like they call in and they sound like just ridiculous. Like they're not really fully there, that it doesn't even mean anything to them. So, as much as we can, not spending time doing things that are meaningless to us. It's very difficult with modern technology. Ooh. Am I a registered sex offender? No. I'm somebody who was a Buddhist monk for 8 years. I'm fairly financially well off, at least according to my means. And I believe in people. Not really. Less and less every day, you know what I mean? But I believe in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. I believe in the community of practitioners. I believe in the value that community brings to daily life. And so this is the work of building a community for people who are concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. I'm not trying to convert anybody to be concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. You know what I mean? So it's really a social experiment more than anything else. Because people say like, I'm experimenting with you with the comments that I'm placing down. But really, you're taking in so much more of me than I'm taking in of you. To whatever degree you affect me consciously, like I'm affecting you subconsciously exponentially more. Because like you can't justify, you don't even understand the notion of being a Buddhist monk. You have no idea what that is. You can't even understand the concept of being in a meditation retreat because you don't have any connection with that kind of experience, right? So you don't really believe in a deep mind. You just believe in your own ego. But if the deep mind or the subconscious mind didn't exist, then advertisements would cease to exist because they wouldn't be effective. Because everybody's mind would have already developed an effective block towards advertisements. So my understanding is as much as people come here and they listen to me and they see me, there are subconscious seeds being affected in them for sure. Because the whole idea of like they're superior to me doesn't really make a lot of sense in the scope of like superior in what way? Like the deep relationship with their own minds? Have you even meditated 50 hours? Who here has meditated more than 50 hours? Who here has done more than 50 hours of meditation? And that's crazy because I've done thousands of hours of meditation, right? And probably most people here have not even done 50 hours of meditation and never will in their entire lives. You've done 500. Well, probably from how I've spent time with you, unethical blood strike, I'd say that's great, that you've practiced like that. I'm feeling it. A lot of people aren't listening closely. And this idea that like their ego's just making something up about me is so important. And yet what I'm saying and what I'm sharing not that it's true or not true or important or not important, it's just kind of magically disassociated away. And yet people are still here, watching and listening. So it's almost an opportunity for especially like middle-aged men to masturbate themselves. It's almost like I'm giving an opportunity for middle-aged men to masturbate themselves. But while they're doing that, while they're masturbating, I'm planting seeds inside of their mind that are imperceivable, just naturally. Me too, man. Come on, who doesn't miss the king? And you know what happened, Co? People killed that guy. All the trolls and all the freak and all the crazy people, they murdered that guy. And everybody sat by on the sidelines and clapped and laughed and appreciated it. You know what I mean? If anybody wants to donate, this hotel room is almost $30 a night. So this is an expensive room. So if anybody wants to donate for tonight's hotel, you can donate $30. That'll about cover it. $35 even. Don't tell me what to do, John Cena. And then people who have, and this is the funniest thing, right? People who, in their daily lives, morality means nothing to them, right? The last thing they would ever think about in their entire lives is morality, right? It's Fox News or it's CNN and just work and sleep and consume media, right? And yet somehow they have a moral position. No one begs on my... When they have nothing to do with morality, when they have no position in society, they don't even think about helping people. They don't think about building anything besides, their spank bank. Or whatever your life may be, whatever your version of that may be. And then somehow when this idea of someone asking for something comes up, you're now a moral hero. You're now an epithet of Christ. You're now a Marine, right? You don't just become like a Jesus figure, but you also become an American Marine. You get your Marine tattoo instantaneously. Give it a fucking break. This game that you're playing with your ego and you're looking around for your friends. Come on, everybody. I know we all agree on this. Everybody wants a chance for their ego to be seen and received. Gotta heat this up a little bit more. You are the poopy face. You are the one, the poopy boy, and I'm the one who deal with everyone. You're the poo boy. You are the poo boy. You are the poo boy. Do you get it? Do you get the joke? Think about it this way. If in you being here, watching this, you had to show your face, you would leave immediately. If in you being here, you had to show your face and share your voice in every time that you wanted to yap, you would leave immediately. I'm not leaving, am I? So Boozy says, Rob, what is the truth behind the Shiva and you stuff? I don't think there's any real truth behind it. Shiva is a big Dr. Rob fan. Shiva loves Dr. Rob a lot. And I mean, to say that I like Shiva is very contextual. But Shiva's a nice guy. I think he has a lot of niceness in him. And I know that he looks up to me. And he's making money. So good for him. I wish on my live streams I had people just constantly donating and throwing money at me. He's a poop boy, and I know why. He's a poopy boy. I've got the poop right here. That's not about Shiva. That's a commentary. And somebody says it's all an act, but are you actually willing to listen? It has to be an act for you. It has to be fake for you. It has to be disingenuous for you. Because otherwise, you'd have a new friend or you'd have a new relationship, and you don't want to deal with that. Where you'd be in a very submissive position and a very secondary position. So it's like all these people that, watch and follow along and listen, and they create this dynamic in their own mind of like me being their, sadly, their child, or like their submissive kind of character in their story. And of course, that's totally fake, right? That's totally made up. Like in any sense of dominance versus submission, like every time you come to me and watch me and listen to me and follow me and comment to me, whereas I do none of that for you or towards you. And you're not the leader of a tribe where this is taking place. You're just somebody that watches YouTube, and now you're following me. So this idea that I'm submissive to you because you're following me is insane. It's totally reversed. It's totally backwards. I don't really follow with Shiva's activities. Right, but Mr. Stogie, you're not a tribal leader. I already addressed that. Like, you're just somebody who uses YouTube. Your value judgments or your decisions are irrelevant here. Your opinion it's random. It's anonymous, basically. You might as well be anonymous, right? You're not a recognized person here. You don't have a seat at the table of my life or this live stream. So you're giving yourself this sense of importance that doesn't have anything to do with what's happening here. And you're really just talking to yourself. And it's my kindness and it's my generosity that I speak to you, that I share with you. And people like this. People like this kind of dynamic, which is why, Shiva gets a lot more viewers, because when I go live, I'm going into meditation. I'm going into mindfulness and detachment. And most people don't want anything to do with that. That's the last thing that they're looking for in their constant search for disassociation. Something authentic, something real that's deeper than what they understand. It's why when I'm reading Buddhist scriptures and Buddhist texts, somehow all these hyper-intelligent tribal leaders temporarily switch the light off of their brain and then they switch it back on to talk to my ego. It's a game. It's a LARP. It's totally fake. people come here and they practice being fake. Whereas I come here, I try to practice being genuine. I'm honestly here attempting to be as genuine as I can possibly be. Can you say that for yourself? You know, I'm sure in any moment some middle-aged guy will have his dick out, jerking off into his own face and celebrating. You know, and if you were to say yes, then you would realize that you are coming to me. I am not coming to you. You are looking at me. You are listening to me. I am not looking at or listening to you. Okay? A similar situation would be if I was to come to your house, right, uninvited and allowed in, versus if you would come to my house uninvited and allowed in. It's not some fucking manipulation tactic or gotcha or ego game, okay? It's just fucking being real, helping us to be real, even though we're communicating in an online sphere that our biology does not have experience with, okay? It's not that fucking complicated.
We are here, we are here, we are the Legion, we are the Watchers on the Wall, we are the Pink Floyders, we are the Pink Floyders.
No, you're not. You're not. There's nothing special or high-minded about what you're doing. Who says that I want to look better according to your standards? Do people not understand that? So some random guy just said, shave it off, you'll look better. Who in the fuck said that I want to look better according to your standards? Is this not one-to-one? Is there any debate available in this? Right? Oh no, I forgot, you're God. You're Christ. You're the head of the Beauty League of America, or the Global Beauty League. Well, thank you very much for coming today. I'll listen to you very quickly. Who the fuck said that I want to be more attractive according to your standards of beauty?
I'll just keep disassociating, don't worry.
Well, I'm not worrying. Ricky just said, you can just say, nah, you don't need to freak out. Did you not hear what I just said? Who said that I have any interest at all in following along with some random fucking YouTube commenter's idea of what beauty is for me? Am I in fucking Crazyville?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that that's just straight facts. That doesn't matter that that makes complete sense. I have something else to say. We disregard that. We move on.
Why don't we take a look at how ridiculous that notion is?
You are not meeting my standards of beauty. Didn't you know I was the prince of my house?
Hello, hello, anybody home? Anybody home? Hello, hello, anybody home?
We will not discuss that.
Why not? Why won't we discuss that? Why won't we talk about how that guy just acted insane and how it's very normal to act insane in that way?
You are not attractive to me.
Well, who the fuck are you? Jim Jones?
Oh, what did I just enter? Oh, everybody, I'm here. What did I just enter? Oh, I'm absolutely perplexed. I'm actually a musician. Oh, I actually really enjoy music. You should be very honored that I would take the time to watch you. You're a very honored. Oh, this man's insane. Oh, I would never watch it.
Who cares? I don't know, maybe this isn't about your ego?
Wait, I'm the CEO of Google. I mean, I'm the CEO of my phone brand. I mean, I'm the CEO of holding my phone right now. I'm the CEO of something. Oh, I know exactly who this guy is. I know exactly what's going on. I've got this guy pinned down. I pinned this guy down.
I don't know. People say I need to drink less. I feel like I need to drink more.
Oh, I know exactly what's going on. I know exactly what this is. I'm basically Aristotle. I'm basically Alexander the Great. I travel. I understand exactly.
All right. We go underwater. 10. Count down together. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. I don't want to do this. 4. 3. 2. 1. Starting again. Here we go. Everybody together. 10. I don't want to do this. 9. Please don't make me do this. 8. I'm going to have a panic attack if you make me do this. 7. If you make me do this, I'm going to really fucking freak out. 6. Together. I'm going to have a panic attack. 5. I'm going to freak out if you make me do this. I'm going to be traumatized. I'm going to have PTSD. I'm going to have anxiety for the rest of my life. 5. Don't make me do this. 4. This is going to give me panic attacks when I go out into social situations for the rest of my life. 2. 3. Don't make me do this. Please do not make me do this. 0. Don't make me do this. 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 You know, somebody said something about it being disgusting to pee in the tub. Is it? Is it disgusting to shit? Or is it just nature? You know, how many people pee in the ocean? How many people shit in the earth? Is the earth disgusting? So it's just like vague value judgments that help us prop up our ego's disposition of being superior. You know, we want to feel superior. We want to feel superior to other people. Raise your hand if you want to feel superior to like brown people that have like $100. Raise your hand if you feel superior to brown people that have $100, live in like a mud hut or live in some kind of tin shack. Raise your hand if you feel superior to them. Don't lie. Do not lie. Wealth is exclusive to poverty. Without poverty, there cannot be obscene wealth, because we're comparing ourselves constantly to the people around us. If everybody was wealthy, we wouldn't feel superior. We would just feel normal. There would be nothing special about being wealthy. Just in the same way, you stay at a nice hotel room, you stay in a luxury place, you piss and shit your pants. I love luxury, baby. It's just enjoyable in a way that's undeniable. That's how you know you're dealing with new money. Old money knows everything wears itself out. Otherwise, wealthy people would just have one great place, one great car. Every great place, every great car becomes normal. And when it becomes normal, you can no longer feed your sense of pleasure out of it because it's neutral. That's normal. It's normal to stay in a nice place. But when we see the human contrast between ourselves and black people or brown people, Arabic people, sand people, fish people, you know, there's a lot of different names for all the different kinds of people, gives us a sense of superiority. When we watch YouTube live streams and we see someone and there's a opening, there's a vulnerability there, to see them as being inferior to us, it helps us to feel superior. It helps us feel better about ourselves. But how real is that? Who's to say? We're going to need to get a transcript from, maybe from this session, a transcript from this video, and also get a transcript from like Shiva's latest video. And we need to ask AI, we need to ask Claude, what's going on here? What are the levels? What are the dynamics at play here? We need to figure that out. I'm growing a ponytail. How long do y'all think it'll take for me to grow a ponytail? Probably like a long time. Yeah, Mr. Stogie, you are repulsive to the guru. So just deal with it personally. Don't make me deal with it. You deal with it. Probably like 6 months or something, right? Or a year even. I don't know if it'll grow very long or not. I have no idea. I've never had my hair this long here. Well, it's gross to you, but it's not inherently gross. Right? It's not inherently gross. Ponytail for the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. What else? Why not? Now we're having a conversation about why you think I should or shouldn't grow a ponytail. Are you insane? This is a 5-star hotel room. This is 5-star living, everybody. I'm living a 5-star lifestyle, whether you like it or not. Well, that's good on Ethical Blood Strike, because there's openness there. I could totally be insane. You know what I mean? Like I 100% could totally be rock bottom, off course, insane, delusional, etc. That's totally possible. But in me looking at my own experience of reality or my own mind, I don't see that. It's not about the years of meditation or being a Buddhist monk or the testing or anything like that. It's just in looking at my mind right now, there's nothing that I could find that would be insanity. And there's no like cope or explanation or like, oh, I need to compulsively say this or say that or explain something to anybody based on that, oh, that I'm not crazy. You see what I'm saying? Like Genevieve Garaway is a very insane person. And a reason a schizophrenic, total lunatic, doesn't take their meds, total lunatic. Smart enough to connect with me. But Genevieve would never posit the idea that they're insane. And that's the good thing about schizophrenics. You can trust schizophrenics. There we go, Genevieve. You can trust schizophrenics because they're too crazy to not be trustworthy. You know what I mean? It's not like they're going to try and manipulate you. They're fucking crazy as all hell. They can't manipulate anybody. You know, they're just crazy. It's not like bipolar with psychosis. It's just psychosis. It's just schizophrenia. It's just insanity. You know what I mean? Yeah, 100%. And belief is a kind of psychosis. But if we're living in a world where we're not free from belief totally, then we want to make sure that we're having the right kind of psychosis. The kind of psychosis that has patience, kindness, compassion, wisdom, forgiveness, tolerance at its core, empathetic joy, rather than this kind of weird ego, like just like being a stalker, like being a total freak. And then every time that the person that you're stalking and following tells you that like you're repulsive, you're disgusting, please go away, you whip out your cock and you come into your own mouth and say, God, this tastes good. You know what I mean? It's respecting other people's boundaries. You know, if somebody says, leave me alone, leave them the fuck alone. If somebody says, I don't want anything to do with you, leave them alone. Period. You know? So, forgiveness. Sow the seeds of forgiveness. I know, honey. They're stalking you. They got the cameras on you. I know, honey. I've been there. I know what it's like. Watch out, because they can also go into your dreams. Watch for the audio, right? Because if you can hear them outside, they can use their voice to go into your dreams. So be careful. Make sure that you wear the noise canceling headphones or something like that, Genevieve. The worst is when they go into your dreams and they manipulate your dreams with their voice. That's why I like living in Vietnam, because they don't speak English. So the gang stalkers here, they have a much more difficult time influencing my dreams. That would be a good idea. No, I would love to sue Shiva. I would love to sue Shiva. I know it's real, honey. I know it's real. What's real is that you're schizophrenic as all hell, honey. That's what's real. Listen. Listen to Dharma talks. Play the Buddhist music in your house, honey. But this level of schizophrenia that Genevieve is at, you can't even communicate with them. But most people are like that. You can't actually tell people what to do. Like, you can't give them advice on what to do unless you scam them or manipulate them. You can't just tell them what to do out of the goodness of your heart, which is a shame. Right? We need ideas to monetize. I want a 5-star lifestyle. I want a 5-star spiritual digital nomad lifestyle. I don't want to be popping around 1 or 2 billion. I want to be flush with cash. So you out there, think about ways that I can make money, that I can make the big bucks, all right? Think about it. We need a luxury meditation center. Well, that's just going to get you into more trouble, Genevieve.
Genevieve, I am inside of your mind. None of this is real. I am a hallucination. I am the spirit controlling your mind. Genevieve, I am the spirit controlling your mind. I am the spirit controlling your mind. I am the one who is controlling the thoughts. I am the one who is controlling the sounds. I am the one who is controlling the environment. I am the one who entered the holosphere and affected you. Genevieve, I am watching you at all times. Genevieve, I am thinking your thoughts at all time. I can read your mind, Genevieve. I can understand every thought in your mind. I am in control of your life. I am connected to the spirit realm, and the spirit realm is watching you and damning you. I am the one who is in control of you.
That's called schizophrenia replacement therapy. We want to replace one version of schizophrenia. That's a good idea. I got to look at the camera for that one. Let's get some W's in the chat. That's a hell of a good idea. Right? Schizophrenia replacement therapy? And that's a hilarious idea too. Everybody wants to make fun, right? Everybody wants to fuck around with other people. So instead of like you put these people into this weirdo institution with all these fucking dropout high school teachers that couldn't make it teaching high school, so now they're managing a psychiatric ward, right? And all these fucking Thorazined out schizophrenics. What about you bring a fucking bunch of people in and you just make this kind of wonderful, funny, silly, ridiculous kind of schizophrenic dream for all these fucking crazy people? Isn't that a good idea? Like everybody seems, everybody doesn't have any fucking creativity anymore. But like you make it fun, you make it creative, it's like they're going to sleep and now we're crawling up above their attic space and we're whispering like loving kindness into their head. John Cena, shut the fuck up. You're repulsive. Get the fuck out of here. Nobody cares about your opinion in the real world. Otherwise you wouldn't be here trying to pretend like you're important. Get the fuck out of here. Stay away from me, John Cena. You fucking repulsive freak. Stay away from me. I'm gonna come in my mouth. I'm gonna come in my mouth. I'm gonna come in my... It's like their proof, right? Like their scientific proof is that they have a capacity to taste their own cum in their mouth. That's literally their scientific proof. Like, I can taste my own cum in my mouth. That means that I'm in the right. Oh, what can you do with these people? You know, this is why somebody was asking me, like, if you're a monk, do you get to be, you know, do you get your own private room? Some dumb cunt, some slut was asking this to me. And that's the benefit of not having your own private room, is then when you're watching YouTube live streams and you get fucking called out for being a total freak, and you're about to cum in your own mouth to reify yourself and remember that you're in the right and like you're in the superior position, the person looks over and says, "What are you doing? You know, why are you trying to cum into your own mouth?" And that is exactly the smell of that speech. The smell of that speech is that person's own semen, you know, kind of in their mouth. So you can smell cum if you actually learn how to smell with your eye consciousness and read what they say. You can smell semen. I've smelled semen quite a few times. I'm not, you know, I don't know if I'm going to... Gregory, same thing. Nobody cares. Stay the fuck away from me. You're repulsive. No offense. I'm just saying you're repulsive to me. So please stay away from me. I'm not saying don't like stay away from everyone in your life and be depressed or whatever. I'm just saying you're repulsive to me. Okay? And it stinks like you came in your own mouth and that you're self-satisfied. You know. Okay, you've ejaculated into your own mouth. What do you want us to do? You want an Emmy or something? What do you want? There's another guy that's got cum in his mouth. If your mouth stinks like cum, maybe go and take care of that before you come and try to talk into my face, okay? We have to disassociate from that quickly. I am the superior one. All right, well, we're done talking about that, everybody. We're moving on. We're going under the sea again. You ready, everybody? Here we go, Genevieve. Here we go. You ready? 3. This is why I lost all my viewers last time on that long breath hold, because there wasn't enough camera under the water, right? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. You know, and it's like somebody says, well, if he's repulsed, that is simply a banner of my power. You know what I'm also repulsed by? Some guy fucking ripping a fart in the elevator. So as much as your ego is empowered in the same way that a fart in an elevator is empowered, then good for you.
You know what I mean? I'm allowed to be repulsed by things, and then those things not being some kind of archangel, spiritual god or something like that. I'm also repulsed by somebody's stinky fucking fart. You know, and you should be embarrassed. You should be ashamed. The lack of embarrassment and shame is your lack of humanity. You know? And it's not a person in particular, it's a certain kind of energy. It's not owned by anyone. Well, why don't you send me $100, Kimberly Mersado? Huh? Why don't you send me $1,000 or as close to it as you can come? A lot of people out there owe me money. Come on, baby, spank me really dirty. Come on, baby, give me that punishment. You're the judge, you're the jury, you're the king of the world. You're the one that I wanna be fucked by. Come on, you're Jesus in a brand new world. Fuck me like a king with a crown of thorns. Come on, baby, spank me till I piss my pants. You're the king of this world, and I want that ass. This is a lotus towel. It says it right here. This is luxury. Lotus towel, luxury. Doesn't get more real than this. Lotus towel, luxury. Excuse me while I take my pants off. Yeah. And it is surreal as well. It should feel surreal. Those are not the people that I would recommend, Genevieve. Those are about the most pros. Those people don't have the kind of spiritual power that you need besides Dr. Rob or Bhante Warapano to deal with that level of schizophrenia. I'm just being honest with you, honey. You need to go Lumpal from Wat Rambodhi. You're too fixated on understanding and being in control. Like, you know you're a total psychotic loon, right? And you know you're completely hopeless, right?
And yet somehow you think that your capacity of understanding is going to help you navigate that. And you need to let that idea go. You cannot navigate what you're going through. You need help. You need refuge. You need support. And Krishnamurti is, at least his persona, his presence is not very impressive. You know, Alan Watts is just some fucking drunk. He doesn't know nothing about nothing. Inspirational, sure. Look at this. This hotel room is just open. This is just left open. I could just come in here and sleep in here. I love this kind of thing. That's a good energy when this kind of hotel room is just open. This is the more premium one with the better view. But we didn't splurge for this one. I'm not a big splurger, but I had the money on Cash App. So I considered it like a gift card, basically. That's why I got this hotel. But you can still come out here to the deck anyway. Look at that view. It's pretty good. Yeah, 100%. So is that a true, you know, is Alan Watts dying as an alcoholic a true, you know, claim against his work? I don't know. But I don't think he has the kind of power to deal with the schizophrenia that you're dealing with, Genevieve. When you send me the $100 that you owe me, Igloo, you stingy bitch. Come on, everybody. This is my job. This is my life. I know you guys feel this special connection, this deep connection, this love. Put your money where your fucking mouth is. What are you doing? Okay? You support me. You support this life. You support this work. You want to see more of this? I need your support. I need your energy. I need your encouragement. Now all the fucking middle-aged men take out their fucking mechanic penises. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking to them. Get a job. Shut your fucking mouth. Get a job. Mind your own fucking business. Okay? You're lucky you're not at my house where I've got a fucking gun. You break into my home and you tell me to get a fucking job in my home? What do you think's gonna fucking happen? KK, my dear, my beloved, okay? We're all in for that kind of stuff. But I'm not trying to get money from people. That's not what it's about. So bring that sincerity, say, hey, I want to talk about this. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying this is what's going to help me. Let's talk about this. Let's set up a meeting, you know, or whatever. All that stuff is there 100%. You know, I want to build a refuge. I don't want to be scrounging around for $100,000. I want to make a refuge here in Vietnam, you know, generally off grid, where people can come and stay for 3, 6, 9 months, a year, where we've got animals, where people can bring their children, where people can live long term, all that jazz. Okay, all right, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But trust me when I say all that stuff is there. I mean, me and Hung are going to live there, but you know, we keep a pretty tight ship. You know, we're always open. If somebody wants to come and stay at our small apartment with us, it's not a problem. You know, it's not like we're injecting heroin on the offside. We've got, you know, years of experience living in monasteries and meditation centers and communities. We have a big organization that we're a part of, you know, so this is just an extension of that. All that stuff is there, you know, values, equity, equality, community. But you come to a meditation center, it's to humble yourself, to let go, to come back down to the 0 point. And so it's not a place for us to do our little performance. It's like, so how can we get more real? How can we be more vulnerable? How can we totally be in a position where we entirely refresh and restart our ego paradigm in the face of someone else's authenticity and realness and vulnerability? So once we do set up the center, I think there's a lot of people that will come and stay, and coming and staying and being in that environment, I think they'll want to support, you know? Main things we want to do, we want to create a loving space for animals. We want to do permaculture. So we want to do like humanure and revitalizing the soil. Want to plant a lot of nice things. Cilantro comes to mind. We'll think about what else for the long term. We want to have a place for people to come and take refuge and be residents. We want to create a Western hub for the broader Tabarwa organization. And once we get started, depending on how big the project is, we can set it up where people from Europe, people from different parts of the world who want to come and volunteer, want to come and visit and do farming or volunteering or whatever, that they have a space to do that. And learn about Buddhism. You can have a very experienced senior monk, but unless they have anything to do, they're just sitting around. They're not typing up their essays or teaching to the clouds. They're just hanging out. They're using tobacco, And so it's a real invitation to, increase my workload. And I don't take that lightly. And, I feel a lot of responsibility for everybody here. It's just a matter of, do those people reach out, and in what way do they reach out? And a big question is, how do we get that money into Vietnam as well? Because me and Hung don't have a lot of money, and I'm not sure what the loan situation is going to be like. But that's what we want to do. I mean, I want to show you something here. Hopefully the video quality is pretty good. 100% KK, we're not just going to let anybody in. Depending on how we establish, the infrastructure that's established, like how much property do we have, how many rooms do we have, how full on do we do this, we're going to have a website that goes along with that. We're going to have an application process for people to come and stay and volunteer that goes along with that. And I have a lot of experience in working with this stuff. Like, look at this. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about some random place. Like, me and Hung can manage this. We can support multiple residents and other members of our community as well, that we want to come and participate. This kind of building, it's probably a little bit foolhardy, but something like this, have a library, have a common space, have a garden, very much in these vibes. And I tell you what, I have a lot of experience living in these communities. We know what to do. And it's not about somebody's the king of the world, some multimillionaire, and then everybody comes and listens to them. It's about sitting around by a fireplace and having nothing to do and nowhere to go. And that doing good deeds becomes an opportunity. It becomes an opening. It becomes the only thing that makes sense is to make merit. You're a saint, you can go in the forest, you can do that by yourself, I guess. But I'm no saint. No, Makia, you'll definitely pass my interview, because I also don't pass interviews. Hi, my name's Rob. I'm schizophrenic. I'd like to come to your meditation center. Oh, where you go, honey? Where you go? But definitely cats and dogs and garden, and then, set up an English school, set up a coffee shop, set up a hotel. You know, we want to create a place where families can come. Honey, I go to chain smoke cigarettes to cope with my lack of. Okay, okay, okay. Sure. You think I'm crazy? The world's a crazy place. I'm sure my life partner is a lot more skillful than you are, much more knowledgeable about spirituality than you are. It's not about anybody buying anybody anything. It's investment in community. And it's very difficult for people to get involved with something that's not already established. So, you know, that initial investment or that initial involvement, it takes a lot more perception of the value that's on offer. Okay, KK. Yeah, send me another message if you can, just to remind me. Not to put you on the spot, but sometimes I get a lot of messages. You know, when I asked them how much this was, at first they told me it wasn't for sale. And then they sold it to me. This is a big deal for me. This is not I don't take this lightly. Here. Surin, let me help you out. I don't know why people are so caught up in like pretending that they know about things that they don't know about. Yeah, you happen to be right here right now. Doesn't mean you know anything about meditation or anything about being a part of a community or anything about practicing or studying Buddhism seriously. So give it a break if you can. Give yourself a break. You know, I look around at all these hotels and things, and it's such a shame that there's so much focus on for profit. You know, are property taxes really that expensive? Is upkeep really that expensive? And I don't even think that matters for most people. It's just that intentionality of being for profit, and then you can't have a broader view of what you're doing. You know, instead of trying to find a good employee, why can't we be trying to find people that want to bring value to a community to help others? You know? You know, you see all these coffee shops, these nice areas, you know. Well, that's fine. But why isn't that an extension of a community? And I don't think it's a matter of money or resources. I think it's a matter of perspective and intentionality. And once again, people are talking about like money or credit or money laundering. It doesn't have anything to do with it. We're talking about building a community, a meditation center. But the bigger that it is, the bigger investment that we make, the more undeniable it is. And that's very good for ourselves because we can't deny that investment. We can't deny that sacrifice. We can't deny that involvement. Then we have to live up to it. And once we establish more of a mainstay, a main center for Tabarwa, for Westerners that's easily accessible, then we can talk about, being an establishment point for the broader Tabarwa infrastructure. But when you do that from a place of you just have the idea, you don't really have any money on the table, of course you can do it, but it's much more difficult to get people involved. Whereas you say like, oh, look at our fucking crazy meditation center. Look at this fucking fantastic couch. Look at this fucking fantastic view. Like, so it's investment. It's investment according to our abilities. And again, talk about money. Even if somebody had millions of dollars, it's not going to make any sense for them to make a meditation center or understand anything of what's being talked about right here, right? It's not going to make any sense. So it's not really about the money. That's such a small part of it. But we fixate on the money because that's what we have connection to. And then we just totally ignore the notion of a non-for-profit community that's based in Buddhism and an extension of Tabarwa. What's Tabarwa? I don't know. You tell me. You seem to be the one that knows it all. Taking over Vietnam is probably a little bit hopeful. So what Hung's very hopeful. Hung has a very good, hopeful mindset, more so than me. All right. Who's ready to get back in the bathtub? We. That's cold. It's okay, it's okay. It's okay, honey. Go to sleep. Go to sleep, baby. And then you get these people that say, "Ha ha ha ha, who do you think you are? Talk about the meditation center. Who the mekapepe man?" Yeah, but what do you know about living in a meditation community? What do you know about living in a monastery? And this can apply to a lot of us, where we have so much like intellectual doubt and so much criticism about it when we don't even have any basis of experience in what that looks like or what that means. And that's okay, but I don't have no experience in what that means. What that looks like, what that feels like, what the challenges are. It's extremely empowering. And think of how empowering it would be, right, to have a meditation center in Vietnam that you're a part of. That's beautiful. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case or that that's not going to be the case, but that's a beautiful, beautiful idea. And it's not about anybody being in control. It's more like taking responsibility for being a caretaker of letting go and giving. It's very empowering to be off grid. I'm thinking of Wally B coming and staying, Aditya coming and staying, Lee coming and staying, Janath coming and staying. Etc. Even Genevieve, if Genevieve can get her schizophrenic act together and come to Vietnam, well, let's have a schizophrenic at the meditation center. People worry about Dr. Rob thinks he's going to be in control. Dr. Rob's going to lose his mind. Well, let's bring Genevieve into the picture. You know what I mean? Now the last thing you're worrying about is Dr. Rob, who's sleeping in instead of meditating. Now you got this totally schizophrenic person talking about, the people in the walls. And that becomes a joy. It becomes a relief because we're practicing mindfulness and detachment from ourself and from our own ego. And like I said, because people watch these live streams and it's just so unappealing. It's so empty. And that's what it's supposed to be, Well, I'm sure you're probably schizophrenic too, Unethical Blood Strike. Join the club. And everybody has a potential to be schizophrenic, so enjoy those moments when you're not schizophrenic. Everybody has the potential to be a bad person, to do bad things, to affect their own and others' minds in a negative way. So enjoy and appreciate when that's not taking place. Yeah, PTSD. Being off the grid is very helpful for PTSD. That's why Asmiel, I don't know how you spent all that time homeless in America, wandering like that. Must have been from the dogs, the dogs with you to protect you. But when I first got like this monastic thing in my mind, I was living in Seattle and I gave up my job and my housing and I started living out of my car and like bringing like pizzas to like evil beatnik, homeless, drug addict, Seattleites. And I just got so exhausted in that. It was like I was dying. And then I went to a monastery and I healed up, that power of refuge. People don't understand how powerful that is. You might show up. We had one young woman who's not around as much anymore, but she came to the monastery in South Italy that I was running, and she was just crying and crying and crying. And I've been through that as well. Like you feel that refuge. You feel that no one is bringing their ego to you. No one is making their ego your problem. That the reality of the situation in the space is completely free from any importance given to your ego and your story. And you just cry and you sleep for, 2 days. You just connect with this sense of rest. So I want to share that with people. I want to bring that to people. First of all, people don't know that they need that. And then second of all, they don't even know that that's possible, that kind of space. That kind of forgiveness and grace. Connecting to the land of grace. So my faith in terms of people is in our capacity to communicate. Now, if we actually choose to do that or participate in that is not for sure. But if we actually choose and are willing to communicate, like the depth of change that's possible through that and the depth of collaboration that's possible through that. Where we don't need to create a system that is just already established, but it can constantly be open. It can constantly have space. It can constantly be without beginning or ending. And all the wonderful troubles that go along with that.